All right, hello everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of MBTV News. This is a sort of news show where we look back at the week, with links to web pages and things. The world of what's been going on in virtual worlds and immersive experiences online. Um, in all its forms, really. We also deal with haptics, new interfacing tools and stuff like that, but we're not strictly in Helmetville, as I call it. No, well, this week there are a few little things come up on that front. Right. Um, so my name is Mal Burns. That's Mal, first word, and Burns, the second word. But believe it or not, like most people, find me on the web and I've been squashed, especially by Twitter, because my address at Twitter is twitter.com/Mal Burns, Malburns, with no spaces whatsoever. And we have an auxiliary feed for the show, which is twitter.com/Metaworld News, again with no spaces whatsoever in it. So, is that good or is that bad? Is that easier to remember or not? I don't actually care because I can't do anything about it. Surprise, surprise. So, it's Mr. Squashed here for the duration, I guess. Also, I don't know whether you encounter him squashed anywhere at all. I don't know if he's on any of the things that squash his name. But anyway, it's James Atlloud. Welcome, James.
Oh, hello, Mal. It's people online, people watching are going to see that I have a lovely white skin. I am, I guess, you know the term albino. You know, a person
Right.
born without any pigment. So I'm having texture
Okay.
issues in our region today. So I have white arms and
Well, interestingly, when you first mentioned this to me a few minutes ago, you were white, but you're now
yeah,
fully red for me.
yep,
So you're
not,
fine. You're fine on my camera, if not your own.
yep, not for
you
me.
will, you will probably find a paint job done to your t-shirt halfway through the show or something.
I have
such
no
a
idea. But it's
such,
just life with assets and textures. So it
yeah,
is.
yeah, something like that. Something
Yep,
like that.
yep.
Okay, well, today's date, which I've completely forgotten about, is the 4th of September. Yes, we're in yet another month. It's one of those months where summer is over, but winter hasn't yet come, and you're not really sure whether it's autumn or not because one day it's warm and one day it's cold. But one thing I can assure you here in the UK is that today the leaves are looking wonderful in the slightly warm air on these trees. But the other day they were
Another
falling
month.
down like mad.
It's
One of
it
those
was
months slipping all over the pavement because it was definitely autumn.
Mm.
So poor foliage and wildlife and stuff. They're just confused about what's happening to the planet. We know damn well, and it's our fault, of course. Anyway, looking on the bright side of things, if you can't go out or won't go out and still have electricity and broadband and everything else, you can always jump into the metaverse. Um, Maybe that will be the future thing. Visit a virtual world and find your tribe. Okay, so as I say, we have links, etc., that I'll be reading out. You'll find them at Twitter, but also it's the week ending for the 4th of the September month. I'm going to get that wrong before the show ends, as you all well know.
Really? All right.
Well, maybe not. I'm just warning them in case. You never know with me how many rabbit holes are available that I can sink into when I'm not looking. Let's start with an easy one because there's no real rabbit hole involved. On I forgot to mention, James is the man here who's behind all the tech stuff, the audio and the video, and switching between them all with different camera angles and stuff. Basically, look at making the show look like something other than a couple of talking heads. So that's his big thing, and does a very good job of it, I might say. So congrats there to James.
Oh, well, thank you, Mal.
All right, I
I'll
just
s- I'll smile with my white eyes
face
now. My eyes have
your,
gone white.
your face animator.
Yeah.
Oh well, fair enough. Right, okay. Well, on the screen right now, the web page links are coming up. Might as well start with this one. I didn't find an actual real article on this. I just found various tweets of, we've done it, we've done it, we've done it kind of thing. This is actually a screenshot from Spatial. You can see where they put their logo in the bottom there. But there's a great big round thing in the middle there that says Decentraland, which, for those of you who don't know, is a completely different metaverse platform. And what happened here is they had a metaverse jump. They went into Spatial and then jumped through the portal into an active instance of Decentraland, which is one step towards one of the great aspirations for building a metaverse of interconnected worlds. This, unlike OpenSim, where we can jump to other regions, other worlds that are built on the same technology, this is different. You actually are dealing with slightly different technology. I think it was done via the web in the sense that I think the spatial interface may have been a web interface, and Decentraland that you jumped to was on the web too. I know that the people with Frame IO or whatever they're called have been doing similar things, connecting instances together, where you could alter a web world using, say, hubs, and you could use another world using Neos VR, I think it's called, and another one using Frame, right, which is brought to you by the Fabella people. And I know people have also done similar things there, where they've tried to make portals that go from one webverse, should we call it, into another webverse, and it seems to with mixed results. It seems to sort of work, though. Lots of them are doing it with creating layers. So you've got like a layer from one web world on top of a background from another web world, and you can possibly get quite rich environments, but actually the components of the environments are actually on different layers on the web. A bit like if you folks, you've been to the theatre, and most plays have scenery, and layer one is the backdrop, and then layer two will be a few big sized props like big trees that people go in and out of, and then there'll be maybe a table or something in the middle layer, and then in the foreground, almost in the audience, there's some bushes, and this creates a 3D effect where the actors can move behind the bushes but in front of the tree and stuff like that. And the idea here was that you'd be in a virtual world on the web, but actually the world you're in was a combination of different layers from different worlds. And the demo I saw was pretty miserable, but it did work, if you see what I mean. So all things going funny there. Anyway, that's quite a long talk for one measly picture at the beginning of the show. What else have I got here? Right. We're just starting with what I call the local news, which is our particular friendly sort of metaverse platforms. Sansar, where we did the show for a long time, well, we did it a couple of weeks ago, actually. Wally, yes, he's known as Wally, is coming back to Sansar as a community manager. He was before. And so they were waiting his return eagerly. And I think Wally is the big thing in the middle, slightly larger than the other avatars. Anyway, sorry I mentioned that. If you go into Sansar and you're looking for their community manager, where's Wally? The refrain begins. Okay, and I've got a final picture here. This ties in with the more general stuff, actually. On top of what's it? They released the other week. Lenovo have now come up with their glasses. These are 1080p screens. All it does is project the screen into your face in sort of surround vision. But if you want to watch cinema and television and all that sort of stuff, streaming, you can. I think there's a wireless setting for it, but basically you normally would plug it into a mobile or a device. And one of the exciting things about this one from Lenovo is that with a little adapter you can actually plug it into an iPhone. So it means whatever Apple do, they've already worked out the logistics of an Apple iPhone compatible headset. This picture makes it look bigger than they are. They are actually just like normal sunglasses. I think what's happened is the polystyrene mannequin they've pushed it on is too small rather than the glasses being that big. The sad news, of course, is that it's not really going to be launched till the end of the year, and initially it will only be available in China. But it's looking good, shall we say? So, nice little picture of that. Um, I've been saying, I know there's an Apple event coming up this week, and maybe people will find out more. I personally just refuse to publish links to people speculating on what Apple are going to come up with. The real killer to me this week was somebody posted a YouTube video, and the complete guide to Apple's glasses. We don't even know exist yet, and the screenshot, the one with the video, it made it look like a slightly modified version of Google Glass, if you remember those. It's just a pair of glasses and a little sort of thing, a camera on the front and an Apple logo, and this could not possibly have been real. But people will stick any old rubbish up on YouTube just to get you to click and watch, and then you can go and tell your friends, "I've just seen a video with Apple's new glasses on." And they can turn around to you and say, "More for you, mate." Right, so I tend to avoid those kinds of things. So, yeah, there we are for the picture department, and we're okay there, I think. Okay, I'm going to move to the news clips now. Okay, I've got two clips about which really just show other worlds. Well, actually, before I do that, I'm going to come back to the first of our web clips for the week. The first three clips I'm about to show you are linked at twitter.com Metaworld News. This one is November, announcing 2 weeks now to Safari returns. It begins on September the 14th, which ain't long to go. And third and final season, meaning the final season of this year, by the way. And it will be September 14th through to November 16th. Wednesdays, 12 noon Pacific time. That's 3 p.m. in Eastern time and 9 p.m. for most Europeans, and 8 p.m. in the UK, by the way. That's their departure time, and of course they give out the locations they're going to as things sort of go on. Does that zoom? It does, but it's yeah. Well, that's the trail bus, but I can't get it all on the screen, so let's go back. Right. Anyway, that is the news from her. You'll find this at hgsafari.blogspot.com, her regular blog. That's hgsafari.blogspot.com. And yeah, it's sort of announcing the various things, talking about last minute cancellations, the way it goes and stuff, and Avicon, HG Safari, Planet B. I'm not quite sure what that is. Going to be here at Avicon. Okay. Right, so Safari region is on Jim Menzies, but we've got the other version here at the Avicon grid. And the region is also home to InWorld Review. Gosh, golly, never heard of that one. Right, if you have a story to tell about Open Cinema, I'd like to be on Mal's show. That's the me Mal, the Mal me. But never mind. Don't hesitate to speak to me about an interview. It doesn't say how to get a hold of me, but Discord is normally the best way of doing that. So we're here today, in fact, grid.avicon.org:8002:Safari. And yeah, all these lovely little pictures that for Safari that Thursday seems to come up with about 2 a minute. Wonderful stuff. Okay, and links to Facebook, MeWe, Discord, OpenSim World, the whole works really. So yeah, she's done quite a long blog there when it's just about advertising what's coming up. And when the tour does resume on the 14th of September at the Avicon grid here, where we are now, in fact, the main event will be a conversation with somebody called Maria Kovalov, who some of you may remember as a co-host on this show many moons ago. And there'll be a second event with Dabishi Strawlino and Kelso Uxley, which is basically a summer season music on the Kriana Vale grid afterwards. Anyway, moving on. The other link I've got from that feed is Call of the Void, August 22. It's actually this will tie in with some of the other stuff coming up anyway. This isn't open sim or any given work. The immersive Venice event is going on at the moment, and let's hop over. Well, basically, this is a roundup of all sorts of stuff you can close your eyes and jump right in to see at the moment. You'll find this at everythingimmersive.com. So it's Everythingimmersive.com. So I'm going to remove those two items, and we're into the main sort of web page clicks, as it were. And we're starting where we almost always do, which is from Monday, when it was still August. Gosh golly, that long ago, eh? The XR Wheat Peak from scarghost.com, and we can cue the music for that. Well, don't know about my additional effect there, but never mind. SKARREDGHOST.com. This is Tony Fertillo's a weekly roundup that he does every Monday usually. Occasionally he's delayed to Tuesday of the week gone before. So this is actually quite literally not the last week for us now, but the week before that. You know, he's got his favourite things to plug and whatever, so it's not exactly duplicating our show or anything like that. He does talk about PlayStation. He also talks about NVIDIA and other relevant news, which of course is all about that stupid cartoon that's all over the web. Yes, we know about that, and we probably know about that, and blah blah blah. Anyway, it's a good roundup you'll find every week, as I say, it's scarredghost.com. Right, so we'll move that item for the moment. Also, there are actually two this week, but I've only got the link to one because there was some display problem with the other one. So there's two Voices of VR this week. We've got 1118, which is a great article because it's all about how they got, I think I mentioned this as news last week, but they got 4,000 avatars on a single virtual world instance, no sharding, with something called RP1's network architecture. And there's certainly not 4,000 in the picture there, but you can see sort of how they did it. They've got the counts on the numbers there without name tags, but at least in the picture there, they seem to be fully formed avatars. In fact, they've even got legs, so they got one up on Zuki. Anyway, Kent Bai got a demo of the single shard there, which was in mid-July, and then he chatted with 3 team members last month to unpack their journey towards creating a scalable network architecture. And this edition of the podcast is that interview. So voicesofvr.com, VOICESOFVR.com. There's also another one you'll see if you get to that site, which is 1119. And oh, hang on, I think we have got it after all. Yes, okay, I've got it, but you'll see what's happened here. This is actually a podcast about Venice Immersive, which is going on at the moment. And again, he had a preview with co-curators and VR chat here. But what the notes for the podcast is there, but the notes are simply web links that you can follow to get to VR chat, all the different worlds that they actually cover. And they're not really named, they're just code numbers of the destination world, but there's more than enough of them, so I guess if you listen to it you'll get an idea of what the different places are. Right, so we can get those out of the way. Okay, and this is a link here in the UK, htworld.co.uk, that's htworld.co.uk. And very attractive woman here. That needs to be really, since this version shows her in taking up the whole page. Right. Anyway, Emmy Award nominated journalist and former head of BBC VR, Zelia Watson, talks to Health Tech World about the future of virtual reality being used in depression and mental health treatment. And excellent information about VR in health. And the statement there too that VR could reduce National Health Service waiting lists at all levels. So expanded impact could be all over. I mean, I suppose it could be a consultancy online, or it could be surgeons being able to use VR to do operations quicker. Basically, you know, all levels of the waiting list could be affected. Right. Okay. So I'm going to go. Let's take a quick break here. I'm going to pop back while we're at it over here to some of the videos we've got. This one is about Aether. It's just a quick MP4, but what I liked about this was I'm not sure whether this is OpenSim or actually Second Life. Not it really matters. I don't know what the hell has happened with the gravity here. You're probably familiar with Isha's, you know, staircases that go in all sorts of strange directions. Well, these avatars are having a bit of fun in a similar manner, really. Oh, I can talk over it because there is no sound on this. At least I don't think there is, unless I've been very silly and not turned it on. Yeah, I've got it. So, just 30 seconds of this, as you can see, but even in these worlds, gravity normally rules. There's some kind of script, I think, sticking them to the frame of this object, and they are therefore able to rotate upside down and not actually fall off to the ground. So there you go. God, maybe that was Thursday. I don't know. It looks a bit like her there. Right. Okay. And then I've got another clip here, which is about a platform called Other Side. This is just one of those wow factor thingies. Right. Da boom. Nice stereo. Okay, a bit loud of Jim Morrison there, never mind. So, yes, Other Side. We're going through to the other side. Something coming, but not really clear what yet there. I think it is a world as opposed to a game, although it must have a gamey sort of feel to that. But there again, you know, sort of fantasy figures are all the rage these days because they're prequel to Game of Thrones. prequel to Lord of the Rings. Lots of lovely fantasy stuff around at the moment. So, anyway, that's sort of irrelevant, really, isn't it? Okay. Let's put that away for a minute. Come back to the feeds here. We did that one. Okay, a roundup at arinsider.co, ARINSIDER.co. This is a regular roundup by none other than Charlie Fink. Obviously, writing for Forbes isn't enough. He does a roundup for AR Insider too. This is called Spatial Beats every week, discussing Meta, Nike, and Vuzix. Roundup, basically, that's it. Nothing particularly special here. It's just a good place, as usual, to get roundup feeds for something you might have missed. Plenty in these sites, like the Forbes one, that, things that we don't cover here, although they may have been on my Twitter feed, but yeah. Oh, my bells are going off. Come on, bells, shut up. I can't kill my notifications on this machine, which is annoying. Right. Moving down the list, we have news at Bloomberg. Bloomberg Law, right. This is news.bloomberglau.com. So the site is Bloomberg Law, and this is the section called News. Seriously looking, it's a legal site, so they are looking quite seriously at the metaverse technology, opening up a wider world of privacy concerns. They've got links to a report here and various other stuff, and bringing XR into teaching and stuff like that. But anyway, it's a fairly in-depth. It's not hyper long, but as you can see, it's a decent read there. About the privacy concerns, not even general, piracy concerns. They're just purely about privacy in the virtual worlds. Right, moving on. Our friends here at roadtovr.com, ROADTOVR.com, and NVIDIA, who make those wonderful graphics cards most of you lust after, are explaining why it believes the Pixar invented protocol is the HTML of the metaverse. This is Ben Lang, as usual, at that site, talking. This is more a comment. Basically, NVIDIA and others have had this. USD stands for Universal Scene Description, and it's been around for quite a while. But as a lot of people, including NVIDIA, start talking about interoperability, NVIDIA has actually started pushing the USD as what they call the HTML of the metaverse. Like HTML forming a description of a web page, which can be hosted anywhere on the net and rendered by a browser, USD is a protocol for describing complex virtual scenes which can be retrieved and rendered to varying degrees depending on local hardware capabilities. With a USD browser of sorts, USD could become a common method by which virtual space is defined in a way that's easy for anyone to decipher and render. So it is. It's actually quite a potent sort of format, to be of use. Excited. I mean, CGI pioneer Pixar, Pixar, the CGI people. They're the ones who originally created USD, which just made 3D animation projects easier for them, and they open sourced this back in 2015, and so now it's being used quite a lot by NVIDIA, basically. So if you want more about this particular sort of information release, go to roadtovr.com, ROADTOVR.com. And we'll just dispose of that one, so my list gets shorter by a minute. Yeah. And, this is, right. Okay, bit of a departure here, but not really. I'm a big fan of graphic novels, really. The more serious side of comics, although given that picture it looks more like a superhero than a graphic novel, but never mind. Announced on the last day of August, Metaverse is a service company called Sequin AR, have announced a partnership with Section 9 Entertainment and award-winning digital artist and storyteller Dan Luvisi. I'm out of touch, so I won't just say I've never heard of him. We'll see a metaverse world created based on a graphic novel called Last Man Standing, Killbook of a Bounty Hunter. The actor and director Dash Minot from Showtime's Ray Donovan series is advising Sequin on adapting the scripted content, etc. The graphic novel itself made waves when it was published in Heavy Metal in 2010, etc., etc. So this won't be the first, actually, in America at least. I suppose where you've got movie tie-ins, with sort of 3D virtual things, then you're probably going to get comic book and graphic novel tie-ins along the same lines. Anyway, you'll find this at ARVR magazine, so ARVR magazine.com. And we'll put that one away and move back to well, this is an odd one. Right, this is an odd one. Voices of VR. It is voicesvr.com, but it hasn't converted into a web reading page. Oh, hang on. Oh, no, that didn't work, did it? Right, so remove item. Okay, something's odd. Okay, this anyway was I think this is your more recent 1120. Yes, the last one further up was 1119, wasn't it? So anyway, whatever's happening, he's posted this. The interview is about Kevin Mack's procedural world building in VR chat for the Venice Immersive Corporation. These are the people that have put on Venice Immersive at the moment. So, nice picture. Sort of more or less abstract, but never mind. Yeah, and of course you can listen to it here, or you can subscribe to it on virtually any podcast platform. You just look up Voices of VR. Precisely why there isn't a reader version, I don't know, but the webpage works fine there. voicesofvr.com.
That's a lovely build. I spent a few hours there this week. I really enjoyed it.
The Venice.
Well, this one by Kevin Mack in VR chat.
Oh, right. Oh God, I've just lost that. So never mind. Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
I'm sure it'll come back again. It'll be back again.
Yeah. No, I just binned it as having finished with it, but never mind. Okay, wonderful one. Noni de la Pena, I think that's how I pronounce it. The American journalist has always been around for ages with a very big interest in VR and immersive things. She's delivering a keynote at IBC. This is a major conference later this year. Well, not much later. We've not got much of the year left. September the 10th. She's founder of the emblematic group ARVR Pioneer, as well as being a journalist, filmmaker, virtual and augmented reality, blah blah. So she's going to be giving a talk. Hopefully there'll be a recording of it. Titled "What's Next? How Immersive Technique Will Create New Narratives and Transform Entertainment." And the session is actually free. However, you would actually have to get to wherever it is. It's actually in Amsterdam, in Europe, obviously, at RAI Amsterdam. They've got various things going on there, not all of which are free, but this talk by her will be free. So any of you over there in Holland who want to see her in the flesh talking, might want to look up that in Amsterdam. She is a very good talker, by the way. Okay, sorry, I better give you a link for that in case you need it. This site's the way it's announced is broadcastprom.com. So it's BROADCASTPROME.com. So it's like a prom as in promenade, but with an E on the end at the end. A bit odd now, broadcast prom, but never mind. Okay, moving down. Innovation ahead. Right, I was a bit rude on my Twitter feed to this. I said, Big Mac enters the metaverse. Watch out, Zuki Burgers. Yeah, they're cheap, those Zuki Burgers, aren't they? Big Mac's there now. Not gonna have Zuki Burgers aren't gonna have a chance anymore. Sorry, I am being silly. James is not laughing. Right.
I'm not laughing.
Not laughing. Fair enough. Okay, this is basically McDonald's entering the metaverse. It's not particularly interesting, really, but they're a big enough company for it to be worthy of note. Don't actually know exactly what they're doing. I think it's about cementing participants' loyalty to the franchise. I don't think they're actually going to sell Big Macs. You just have to make do with Zuki Burgers if you're actually in the metaverse. So this site is called Franchise Wise Wire. No, Franchise Wire. FranchiseWire.com. Right. Okay, moving on from that one. We come to This Week in VX in XR. Now, this is the usual and totally different from a few posts ago. um, Colin from Charlie Fink, and this one's at Forbes.com, Forbes.com, regular weekly one. Different content, slightly different focus from the other one that we had earlier. For some reason, there doesn't seem to be any video where we can XR from him and what's his name this week at all. I've been actively looking out for it, along with one of the other ones, which has been published as an audio but not as a video. Anyway, this one is a regular one, you will know of it anyway, so just go to Forbes.com, and Friday or Saturday is the time it's normally released. So this week in XR, easy enough to find, or just look up Charlie Fink. Okay, setting course for the open. Right, well, I'm coming to that anyway. I've got the link for that one. Right. Okay, various stuff, lots of pictures too, and yeah, no, it's just what I don't like. This is an artist's conception of possible Apple XR glasses. Well, they're trying to reinvent the Metropolis movie or something. I don't know. It's just something that's not a very Apple-y. And anyway, it's just what uses an artist's conception. A thousand artists can probably do a better visualization. Anyway, so Forbes.com for Charlie's roundup there. And moving down, xrtoday.com, another sort of roundup site. This one, xrtoday.com. And here they interviewed the co-founder of a leading immersive training platform on the future of training. HR will presumably be human resources, unless I've got that wrong. Who knows? Anyway, they're talking about a couple of days ago, basically. They're talking about training, and they're talking about Immerse, which is actually one of these fairly decent new wave metaverse kind of worlds. Strictly speaking, aimed at the enterprise. So it's not been pitched as a a node on any greater metaverse, so to speak. But we'll see what comes. So fairly comprehensive interview there. It's not, about half a dozen questions and about half a dozen long answers to go with it. But interesting enough anyway, especially if you're interested in corporate style training. Right, so that was xrtoday.com. Moving down, we get this come to this site now and again. Actually, they have some nice posts when they do. The site is called psychologyofgames.com. So that's PSYCHOLOGYOFGAMES.com. That's a handful, isn't it? Or in my case, a mouthful. Right. Using games to develop empathy. This has always fascinated me. One of the clinches about promoting virtual worlds ever since Second Life, really, is that you've got collaboration, community, you've got all the sorts of things that people form tribes or greater sort of things around. But I've always thought, and I know people share this view, is that it does create very emphatic relationship experiences. I don't know whether it's like with avatars and things. I don't know whether the appeal is what's missing or just how much is there these days. I think actually it's more to do with what's missing. You can you can be severely disabled one way or another, and you can build up a close rapport with an able-bodied person, and you may not even know that each is embodied or disembodied, whatever. There are things that virtuality does not necessarily, especially not Helmet Land, but worlds like OpenSim and Second Life and Science Space, etc. Sansar. You don't know much about the avatar other than you gain by talking and an affinity, and so you talk about something and you agree on it. It happens more often that way in the virtual world than it does happen in real life. You could go down the street and talk to 10 people before you actually come to one where you start sort of feeling an affinity. But although a lot of it is to do with where people hang out as well. I know when I first investigated Second Life, for example, I rather liked there was a club, where people just danced and gabbed on in chat. It was before they had voice. It's called the Old Farts Club. Very self-effacing name, and the idea was that most of the avatars there would have been driven by people of a certain age, so you sort of had a lot of common. I mean, that can happen in real life too, but personally, where I live here, I don't know of any old farts club down the road, whereas in Second Life there were. So you do, relationships made that way, I think, do actually involve a lot of empathy. In fact, I don't really think, if you've got somebody who really doesn't have a sense of empathy, I don't really think they would really get on in a virtual world where it's just the people and the tribes you belong to that are important. I'm sure there's griefers in there who have no sense of empathy at all, but all they do is mess things up for other people. But I think people, serious users of virtual worlds, are prone to empathy, I think. Anyway, it's but I've always had that bee in my bonnet on that front, so to speak. I've even got my fanciful definition of empathy, because I almost think it's a sixth sense. It's is it a combination of the other five senses or a sixth sense in its own right? But that's another argument. Anyway, psychologyofgames.com is where you'll find this. It's a fairly short article, but as you can see, there are a lot of footnote references and things like that that you can follow up to. Increased reports of spatial presence and emotion you would expect from VR players. So, it's very difficult. They talk about VR, and these days you're never quite sure whether they're actually talking about VR in open sim sense or whether they're talking about Helmet Land. But I think the same may well be true for both. Possibly more so the flat screen worlds, because you reveal less of yourself, and it's more up to you what you reveal and choose to reveal. In Helmet Land, things like body language and things like that can make the experience more compelling, but it also might give a lot more away about the participants. So who knows? Who knows? Interesting discussion there. I'm moving on to golfnews.com. That's the golf, obviously, GULFNEWS. And they had an interesting article here too. I think I'd heard it mentioned before, but not actually an article. APF, actually, I think that's one of the press agencies, Associated Futures Press or something. But anyway, this link is at golfnews.com, GULFNEWS.com. And they are projecting that Google will be rolling out their immersive view technology before the end of the year. I'm sure you know Google Maps. You also know that you can zoom in from Google Maps to Google Earth. And from Google Earth, you can get in further by moving into Street View, where you can walk around a street made up of stitched photographs of the environment. So it almost feels a bit like a virtual world when Street View. Unfortunately, it is photographs, and for example, when the Street View was made, if the scaffolding covering a building then you're stuck with it until they send the cars around to redo it. So it could be several years later. So the images you see in Street View are close to the real world, but obviously there are things in the real world that won't stay quite the same. Anyway, the news now is that they want to incorporate the maps and the Earth and all these features together to create a much stronger navigational aspect to Street View. Um, at the moment, if you look up Street View of a location, you get to see a certain amount, but you can't just walk on endlessly throughout a city, for example. And I think they want you to be able to do that. I also think they want to be able to convey much more information to you about what you may be passing as you're walking by. Probably a bit more to do with a mirror world type exercise than what we would call virtuality. But certainly, if anybody's going to do it, Google probably will manage it with immersive view because everything they need really is already in position. All they've got to do is take one step further in the technology involved, basically. So we will see what we see on that front, of course, as time goes by. Right, moving down the list. Oh, sorry. Remove item. Remove item. That's what I want to do. Okay. Now this is this is very interesting actually. This is a great roundup of the first 60 days of something I've covered quite a bit here, the Metaverse Standards Forum. It's quite big. Something I'm involved with, the OMI, Open Metaverse Initiative, are also sort of semi connected with this, especially. Well, actually, there's just too many protocols and everything else going on here. Basically, in 2 months, they've got 15,000 companies have joined, basically. And that's a teaser, and then that's more like the real list, and I don't think even that is 50,000, no, 1,500. I just see tweets every day of the week with, hey, our logo, we have joined with internet standards, say metaverse standards. So it's become a thing where any self-respecting metaverse aspirant is joining simply because they have to be seen to join, kind of thing. So it's one of these things, but it is actually a fascinating aspiration. It's sort of to do with open source and working, not totally open source, but the open source is part of it. They basically want everything to work together if you're going to build a metaverse, as do many major industry players. What I was found was so funny about this is I got a lot of replies to this as a tweet. But the replies were not what I expected. Some people just like it or retweet it or something like this. But I was getting replies from Second Life users who I think actually know me by tradition. And they were actually asking me, is Linden Labs joining this? Are Linden Labs going to be part of this? They were more interested in whether I knew Linden Labs were going to be part of this. And they were saying, oh, this looks interesting, I better investigate further. But is Linden Labs going to be part of it? And I don't know, that speaks volumes really, doesn't it? As far as I know, Linden Labs have made no move to be part of it. They are very much off in their own closed world, but, things do change. They may find themselves under a sort of compulsion to be in there. After all, there's sort of 1,500 other organisations and worlds as part of it. Okay, so anyway, if you want to read this, the blog, the site is called metaversestandards.org. It's got a dash in the middle, so it's METAVERSC dash standards, STANDARDS.org. Basically, it's a roundup of what's been happening there since June. June seems like ages ago, but it is quite literally just a couple of months. So, yeah, interesting post there. And as I say, it's generated quite a lot of interest in very unexpected areas, or unexpected reasons, should I say. Okay, back to xrtoday.com, xrtoday.com. And the immersive kind, this is a company sort of thing, really. Working with Spatial and Ready Player Me and Studio Multi are all partnering for the Digital Fashion Week showcase. And well, this is basically all the news. Basically, you can follow Immersive Kind on Twitter. You can see they've got a sort of screenshot there, and they round up all the players and stuff. Fashion is becoming quite a big thing with the so-called metaverse, because looking at virtual worlds as we have them at the moment, even in Second Life, it's been a big thing. Avatars want to dress themselves in good fashions, and sometimes the designers of fashions want to get jobs in the real world. So um, instead of having a one-off costume, designer costume, and some model parading it on the catwalk, you can have lots of different costume varieties that are still one-offs, but they're demonstrated by an avatar or a model. As we saw last week, there was a clip where we had a real world person with augmented reality. They were changing their costumes live on camera. So yeah, for fashion, both inward and outward, is quite a big thing. So XR today to find out more about that one. And did I? Just a second, I'm just thinking. Yeah, this is the London Metaverse Fashion Week show, by the way, so right round the corner from me, so to speak. And also crypto artists. I'm trying to actually find the damn date, but it doesn't seem to be. It's the only thing missing in the article by the look of it. Oh, hang on. Is it up? No. I think all you can do is go to follow digital DGT Fashion Week and see what dates they give you. Oh, hang on. 4th of September. Hang on, that's today. Oh, I don't know if it's London. Maybe it starts today, or it's not very helpful there. But anyway, yeah, it's Fashion Week, so presumably it's going to go on for the week, starting today. More on that later if I can find it. I don't think I will, however. Right, moving on. TechRadar.com. Oh, don't know what happened there. There it is. Right. Creating a metaverse for the people, by the people. That kind of rings, isn't there, sort of it's the American Constitution or something that says governance by the people, for the people, or I don't know. It's got a ring to it, hasn't it? But of course, it's very apt. Middle of August, Vancouver Convention Centre was transformed into an uncanny valley, which looks like our world, but it's not. Blah, blah, blah. That was the SIGGRAPH conference, of course. They're talking about, capturing everything realistically, etc., etc. But the reference, far-flung Oxford, UK, come on. We're not far-flung, it's just up the road. I think we can tell where this is going from. Right, they look at quite a load of things here, but basically it's the concept of how people interact with the technology, and it's a completely different form of user experience or UI. And your interaction needs to be with devices, something where you can pop in and pop out and it just works, etc., which of course virtual reality and virtual worlds are far from reaching that sort of critical pop in, pop out function at the moment. As you see, they're looking at all sorts of technology behind the thing there anyway, so it's a very good article here. Tech Radar is very much a general tech magazine. TechRadar.com. Moving down the list, and we're getting somewhere. We are indeed. Okay, London, here again. The British Film Institute have their London Film Festival every year, and this year they've announced complete expanded immersive art and extended realities lineup. It runs from the 5th to the 16th of October, so it's only about it's 10 days, I suppose. I think it's on the South Bank, which is on the river around Westminster, but on the south side instead of the north. In partnership with the National Theatre, so anybody in London here will know. There we are, London South Bank. 17 projects and taking place across multiple different venues on the South Bank. So you've got the you've got the National Theatre, but you've also got film theatres, and there's loads of sort of national treasures on the South Bank, basically. Anyway, this is a little roundup. They do actually cite some of the things that will be happening there too, along with a more general announcement there. Um, yeah, um, nice, some rather nice stuff here. I mean, sometimes I just look at the picture like that and think, yeah, it's nice. You can't tell till you see these things what they're like. They may be immersive that you have to watch in a headset or a helmet, or they may be interactive video or whatnot. A whole load of different things, but they're all very exciting sort of things. Anyway, that's a nice eye. I should come back here and take some of these pictures for safekeeping. It's a big article, as you can see. I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and we're still getting nowhere near the bottom. So definitely a good one if you like reading here. Oh God! Oh God! Google's disconnected from the Wi-Fi again. I hope nothing else has. Right. Anyway, the website you want for that is bfi.org.uk. Am I still good, James?
Yeah, signal's still good,
Okay,
sound is good.
so,
Yep.
this has been happening for days now. Google keeps having a fit. Makes a change from Madam A, but never mind. Okay, yeah, bfi.org.uk. Oh, well, hang on, this Google's working. Never mind. Right. Okay, I spoke of this a short while ago, a longer article on the Metaverse Standards Forum. This was another post from yesterday about their laying the foundation for the interoperable metaverse and continuing to grow fast, presented interim results. There's nothing really new here, it's just a different site and somewhat different pitch, because the one we covered earlier was their own site. Whereas this is Virtual Reality Times, just reporting on that from a reporting point of view, but quite a short piece. Virtual Reality Times is long form words. Yes, VIRTUALREALITYTIMES.com. That's another handful mouthful. Right. Okay. Now. There is, as I'm sure most of you know, a company around called Meta. Yeah. They do not own the metaverse. Meta has nothing to do with any metaverse, despite some people there with their vision things. But Meta Platforms, as they're called, have acquired a Berlin-based haptic technology company called Lofelt in a bid to bolster VR ambitions. And basically, they've got a load of haptic things here. For example, this sort of half glove that they do. Basically, Meta, better, have bought this company, including Low Felt Studio, which enables developers to build granular effects for smart turn apps and game controllers. The crucial thing here. Okay, that is raised at the go away, and right, it's raised at the very beginning here. Actually, this acquisition comes barely a month after the same company received an FTC, Federal Trade Commission, injunction over its acquisition of Within, and actually, I said Within was a never mind. FTC has sought to block the Within Unlimited acquisition over antitrust issues, arguing that the move is anti-competitive as Meta is seeking to dominate the virtual reality market. Well, quite frankly, grabbing technology like this is probably even more of a move to grabbing the market. So who knows whether the FTC will moan about this. Basically, I think Meta should really be stopped from buying anything from anybody. They're quite enough already. Anyway, that's the info. Short release here. Again, it's at the long form virtualrealitytimes.com. VIRTUALITYTIMES.com. Complex, really. Right. Okay. Um, okay, no reader view for this, although unless you actually click on it, it's actually a PDF file, which you can obviously read in situ if you want. But it's very easy to just click and download, um, download in various languages. Um, it's from the Publications Office of the European Union. And it's a strategy paper that they call for the VR AR Industrial Coalition. Now, as you can imagine, this is super not layman's reading particularly, although it's readable, but you know it's of specialist interest to policy makers and people in the industry in future actions which will need to support AR and VR, etc., etc. And it's the EU, so you know this is the body behind this is not even a country; it's a whole group of different countries together, of which the United Kingdom used to be a part. Don't know what happened there. Right, okay, so you'll find this as OP Europa EU, so OP dot EUROPA dot EU. And you get there here, you just download the paper. It's worth having anyway, probably, if you never read it all. Right, moving on. Computerweekly.com, mainstream tech paper here. Why is everything going haywire at the moment? Right, never mind. Okay.
I am getting a little bit of garble in your audio, so maybe there is something
uh,
happening. It's still clear and understandable, but I can hear it struggling in the background.
hey Google.
I can't connect to the Wi-Fi network. You might want to check the connection settings in the Google Home.
Now both of them can't connect.
Yep.
Alexa, are you
But
connected?
I assume you're clear. You're wired to your router with the computer, so I'm still hearing you.
Yeah. Okay. It seems Madam A is fine, but Google has gone haywire. This happened earlier. I think Google maybe they've been attacked or something, gone offline because it affects all the. Yeah. Of course, instead of just shutting up, they have to come online and tell me about it, don't they? Right, okay, so computerweekly.com, peeking into the metaverse, taking a look at VR headsets and AR smart glasses. Roundup sort of article here. Obviously, being a mainstream Computer Weekly magazine, they are pitching the article to a more general but sort of still fairly tech savvy audience, if you see what I mean. And, you know, what it's all about, basically. You know, quite a big roundup in its way. Not probably a crucial article for our listeners, but nevertheless, it's always good to have the links to these things around if you need to give them to other people. Is my feeling. Right. Okay. So that's the last of our actual web links for the week. I'm going to move back now to the Department of Video. Yes, video. Um, okay. I need to check. Right. Okay. Um, Mixed realities and various other stuff, as well as Charlie Fink on video hasn't been around this week, but this is I think the Upload VR people. They actually are visiting VRTO, and this is a report. It's about 5 minutes, 6 minutes actually, but worthy of a butchers, as we say in the UK.
VRTO is an annual virtual reality conference hosted in Toronto, Canada. This event has been exploring art, culture, and science through immersive technologies since 2016. After a couple of years of hosting this event digitally, VRTO returned in person this year to an intimate crowd of industry professionals for an opportunity to connect and gain insight from some of the best in the business. Allow me to introduce the founder of VRTO, Karim Maliki Sanchez. How you doing, Karim?
I'm so glad to be on our second day. I'm so glad you guys are here. It's such a big deal to have, the Americans come to Toronto and cover but all these amazing companies that we have in the city. So that's really exciting for me.
It is exciting for us to be here as well. Our first time in Toronto. We are having a great time. I really believe that VTRO kind of has this forward thinking, almost mystical aspect about it. What do you think about when you hear me say that?
I agree with you. I mean, Toronto's always been like a bleeding edge city. I mean, one of the reasons for that is you've got like 18 universities in this province. A lot of them are focused on tech and thinking through like the societal implications. University of Toronto is just down the street. It's like one of the main centers in the world for AI. Steve Mann, from the grandfather of wearables, comes from U of T. We're in OCAD University right now. That's like a place for a lot of digital pioneers thinking about the impact. So it's not a mistake that we're in this university. It's kind of paying tribute to everybody who came before us, thinking about these problems and how to solve them and how they would impact us. So Toronto's an interesting place. I live in LA most of the time, but I come back here because really there's so much new thinking around what to do next.
Why did you start this thing?
Well, it was a lot of things. I was running a game review site that was going to a lot of indie shows and seeing the young developers building. We were calling them walking simulators at the time. This is like stuff like Gone Home and Dear Esther. Everyone's Gone to the Rapture, where games where you're just like walking through environments and didn't have anything to do but just enjoy the environment. So I was like, there's something happening here where we want this kind of deeper level of immersion. That was around 2013, and there was like this whole Kickstarter with this Palmer Luckey guy. I was going to NAB, the trade show, and people were doing panoramic photography, which was turning into panoramic video, and this whole confluence of technologies was coming together. And I said, I want to be right at the front of this because I don't want the same thing to happen as with the dot-com boom, where all of a sudden, like, it was really cool, and then it got really crappy because all these corporations came in and tried to control it and put up paywalls. I said, we need to have like a fighting chance. The rebels need to have a base in this thing so we can keep it real for the rest of us.
How has this year's VRTO been? I know you mentioned when we spoke earlier that it was a bit of a challenge to pull this thing together in our post-pandemic world, so to speak.
Yeah, it was a really good trip to go for 2 years fully into virtual space. As Kent Bai would say, we ate our own dog food, and we had to like show like what would happen if you could only do it in virtual space. I love that ride, but I deliberately did not even make this a hybrid event. I was like, let's just go fully back to human form and discover the things that we don't know. Because the real thing about a conference is you're walking down a hall and you're like, who are you? And good sandwich, and where do we go get a cigarette? And whatever it is, because those moments lead to these real discoveries. That is what a conference should be for. It should be that opportunity. And to go a little deeper beyond the surface. You don't have that same digital burnout of just watching a Zoom wall all day. And there's a billion little cues that we pick up off of each other as human beings that we should pay attention to when we're trying to talk about this new technology that we're moving towards. Every year there's sort of a theme that emerges, and this year we're really looking at how 3D tools and depth-based media is starting to really trickle into the mainstream production pipeline. So we're no longer speculatively talking about Unreal one day being a filmmaking tool. We're literally talking to people making Star Trek with Unreal. And we're talking to people who have got shows lined up for television using Vives for like Ultimate Warrior tournaments, and people that are teaching live theater performance in VR at Tisch University. So that's a big deal, and that's a pattern that we identified. So this year, as opposed to talking about health or industry or whatever, we're looking at how all the traditional media is being completely upended and really now relying on depth tools to make the future of entertainment.
Thank you for putting this together. It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us, and we look forward to seeing all of the great things that you're going to continue to do. Thank you, Karen.
You guys are always covering the frontier, so thanks to you guys for being here.
Please take a moment to leave a like on the video, and if you love VR like we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.
have been out there.
My goodness, that was bombastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's it. Okay. Sorry, I need to introduce this one. Right. We mentioned last week that MTV, well, it may have been a couple of weeks ago now, their Video Music Awards were going to having a virtual prize award, whatever, for metaverse stuff for the first time. And I forget who was nominated. People I'm too old to have heard of now, anyway. But there's been a bit of controversy. The award finally went to somebody called Blackpink, and this video is shows their performance. However, the general feeling, and I'd like to know what you lot think, is that well, it may have got an award, but this ain't no metaverse. Well, there's a further 8 minutes, but I don't know this music either, in my opinion. So I'm going to pause it there. But you can see from the beginning there. I mean, this is a movie and it's CGI. I mean, sure, they may have made a 3D thing and dumped things in, but it's been made as a film. And, I mean, look at what ABBA are doing at the moment. It's far better than this. And to think that this, well, maybe MTV these days thinks it's good music too, but I mean, for this to have got the award, I'm not being nasty. I just don't think it was worth the effort. They should just stick to giving, live artists awards and stuff. And well, not a big fan of that. Not a big fan of that. Okay, moving on. Let me see. Oh, come on, hang on.
Well, I do want to say I will be in the metaverse, so if I'm alone, but I'd like you guys to join me there. I guess I'll be there alone.
You already are, Joanna, right? You've even gone to like nightclubs and comedy shows.
I mean, I may be an avatar right now. We're not really sure. Where does the real blur with the fake? We don't know. But Steve hit on all of the points, right? This is not yet a mainstream market, especially not with what Meta is going to be coming out with in October, which is this Project Cambria headset, which is really aimed at higher-end gamers or those that are looking to develop for the AR and VR platform that Meta wants people to build for this metaverse. The big thing that we need to look at here is how is Meta at making hardware, right? They've had a hit. They've done, or maybe hit is a subjective word, with the Oculus Quest or the Quest 2, the Meta Quest 2, whatever they're calling it now. But this is more advanced technology. It needs to blend VR and AR. And as Steve mentioned, this is a big step into the AR realm that's expected to have what they're calling color pass-through. So you can actually see color in the real world around you, but that overlays some virtual objects. And so the jury's really still out is how can Meta deliver on this hardware platform? And they need to control that hardware and software platform as they go into the future.
What we're talking about, guys, though, is the sort of further off vision of the metaverse. There are instances where you can see it sort of in maybe better effect at the moment with games like Roblox and Minecraft, which aren't really looking into headsets at the moment.
No, they'll be on the headsets. They just don't want to make them
eventually,
yes.
Right? And I guess that brings up the question. We talked about this earlier on Tech Check. Is there going to be interoperability? Everything you just ran through, Steve, and you as well, Joanna, doesn't say anything about that, doesn't tell us we're heading towards that at all.
No, and that's exactly it. So in the purest definition of the metaverse, it's more like the open web, right? Meaning you can go to any site on any device. The purists of the metaverse believe it should be like that. But that's not what big tech is building. That's not what Apple's building. That's not what Facebook is building. Mark Zuckerberg saw years ago Apple and Google were able to build their own walled gardens, icing him out, and he doesn't want that to happen again. So he's building his own walled garden forget about all the messaging about making it cheap and accessible. That's not what they're doing. They're making it expensive and inaccessible.
So all of these tech giants, Joanna, they have seen how valuable an operating system is. They want to create one for the metaverse. So we always talk about the big tech players, who's going to lead the path, but it's possible, isn't it, that someone's building the biggest metaverse company in their basement right now. It may not be any of them.
It's possible. I mean, yes, we saw that similarly with sort of the PC race, but when you look at what happened with smartphones, it was two giants that dominated, right? And in most cases, at least with Apple, they controlled the hardware and that software platform. Google lesser to a degree, right? Microsoft completely failed, but this is what we have again happening, right? That race. You're going to have Google, you're going to have Microsoft, you're going to have Meta, you're going to have Apple. So it's a four-way race there. You're going to also try to have Amazon in there. Amazon not wanting to sort of leave out the Alexa platform and what they've built with their shopping platform as well in AR. And sure, yeah, there's a chance that someone in their basement right now is making a really sleek, cool headset and all the software to go with it. But how does that not cost more than $1,000?
You seem
right?
really big skeptical. Yeah, and I get it.
Yeah, I'm going to say no.
What do you think? See, I mean, Oculus was an acquisition.
It was made in a basement, Oculus.
It was.
Yeah.
I know it's harder, and this is requiring billions of dollars in Meta's case, $10 billion a year. But not necessarily the hardware, but maybe when you talked about these systems, like it being the open web, maybe someone's creating the technology for the interoperability.
Yeah, Microsoft talks a little bit about that. They do believe there should be some interoperability, but you also got to keep in mind, Microsoft, go figure, focus on the enterprise. And so that figure I put up from IDC showing the enterprise customers for this, that's where Microsoft is playing right now. They don't necessarily want or need people like you and me playing around with these devices. So that's what they're focused on. There's a huge opportunity there. Even Google Glass, RIP, remember that one? That's being used in the enterprise too. So there's this idea, this kind of bifurcation of it. But of all these companies, Microsoft's the only one talking about interoperability in a serious way.
Well, okay, Jordan, let me take a
throw in Magic Leap, because Magic Leap was the sort of the big unicorn, the white whale that was supposed to do this. They were supposed to do this 5-6 years ago, if you remember the funding that that company got. And they have a headset out. They had partnerships with AT&T, but still no big sales of Magic Leap 1 or 2.
Right.
2 is coming out. And maybe they get acquired.
Now, the only company really talking about the metaverse in a huge way is Meta. The other tech companies are talking about it in maybe more subtle ways. And a lot of them are focused on gaming right now. And there is this connection, Joanna, between the metaverse and gaming, even when we talked about EA being in play as an acquisition target. Do you think that plays a part in that consolidation we're seeing right now to grab the titles to get ready for a next phase of gaming or internet or metaverse?
I think if you look back at the history of some computing platforms, gaming has fueled that first step, has pushed the early adopters, right? We saw that with PCs, PC gaming. We've seen that a little bit with phones as well, right? People buying them for the games, being a huge market on phones. So I think that is going to be the inroad to VR or AR. Mm-hmm. But again, as we kicked off this segment, how does it go mainstream, right? How does everyone like you, me, and Steve want to put this on during the day? Because we've got jobs and we can't play Roblox during the middle of the day.
Okay, well, I played all of that, as you can probably tell. I thought it was quite an interesting sort of discussion, really. Also very level-headed and so know those stuff, really. Okay, what else have I got here for you, if anything?
Hello and thank you once again for joining me. I'm Kieran Allen. I'm the host of Acceleration Economy's Metaverse channel. This episode of My Metaverse Minute is sponsored by Community Summit in North America, the largest independent gathering of the Microsoft Business Applications ecosystem, taking place October 10th to 13th at the Gaylord Palms in Orlando, Florida, with 500 plus today's episode of My Metaverse Minute. I want to talk about the recent World Metaverse Conference that kicked off in Beijing probably just over a week ago now. It was meant to showcase international efforts to building a huge metaverse infrastructure, and it was meant to basically celebrate the companies that were doing so, that were kind of underpinning what the metaverse will become. However, there was a strict focus, believe it or not, on China's efforts, and there was very, very minimal foreign presence. In fact, a spokesperson for the government agency that was supporting the event, ultimately running the event, said that China's metaverse industry must improve to become independent and controllable. Two words that do not chime very well at all with the decentralized global vision of what the metaverse can become. Beyond this, China want to develop interoperability standards that govern how metaverse platforms connect and share information. Now, of course, this is politically motivated, and it's potentially very damaging to the growth of the metaverse and the industries involved in the sector, particularly when it comes to DeFi and digital financial networks, because, as we all know, the Chinese government are not very liberal when it comes to enabling free trade in terms of with crypto and with various other digital currency mechanisms. And as I said, this is all politically motivated because they're currently in this head-to-head battle with the US. They don't want to lose out on the next wave of the internet. And for me, this is all rather obvious. Of course, this is a way that a state such as China will approach the metaverse. But as I said, it's completely against everything that we've been discussing when it comes to decentralization, when it comes to working together, when it comes to partnering, when it comes to interoperability, which the metaverse standards, which is where we're developing metaverse standards. It can't be done by a single entity. And it really highlights to me why it's so important that independent organizations work outside of the government to develop these shared set of standards that are universally applicable, because governments are not capable of doing this alone, because there's an alternative agenda, especially when it comes to these kind of geopolitics. So yeah, this really highlights to me how the opportunity are there for smaller organizations to group together and develop standards that work for everybody, because it doesn't have to start at the top, it can start at the bottom. And I think that's where we're going to see the most progress. When organizations work collaboratively out of view, not necessarily out of view, but out of government oversight, because they don't need to be at this early stage. As long as the rules are followed in the countries that are supposed to be where these organizations are operating, as long as no one's breaking any laws, the actual mechanics, the foundations of the metaverse that are being built today don't need to be built by governments.
Oh, right. Well, that finished a bit quicker than I had planned. Oh dear. What's that? Oh, that's more like it. Right. Okay. Well, that was kind of an interesting bit of opinion in there, of course. Right. I've now got to get my blasted player back into a state of playability. Sorry about this. They should not do it live. Well, no choice in this case, really. There we are. Right, this is an advert for something coming up called Stage 1 Metaverse. Again, it's not around yet, but it's, well, here's the hype for you. Well, interesting there. I mean, it's probably just going to be like so many of the other ones starting these days. twice in that, including the end bit there, there's obviously a focus on buy properties from us. It doesn't give any idea of where that is, a basis for a mirror world, in whether they're selling properties that are virtual equivalents of real life, and where, or whether it's a completely closed, fictional environment, so to speak. It's interesting that they are pitching it both as an AR thing and a virtual thing. In fact, well, if it wasn't said there, it's said somewhere else. It will launch as an AR world, and within a couple of months, early next year, become a VR world. It just seems to me that for something new, it seems to be biting off really a lot more than they can chew there, and probably like so many others, they're trying to sell you virtual land, which is probably worthless when you think about it. I mean, you can buy land in Second Life, but actually all you're doing is renting server space. You don't actually own it at all, and it's you can live there, you can have events there, you can do what you want there, but the only people that can get to you are those that are actually on that platform. And there seems to be a mistake that a lot of these new companies actually seem to be making. I mean, you can build it, but that doesn't mean they're going to come. Anyway, we do show all these flashy things, don't we? Okay, this is a trailer for Berlin Brandenburg. Have I got this right here? I think. Yeah. Well, I paired that with the previous one for sort of obvious reasons. Another flashy promo there, really, but this is totally different in many ways. I mean, look at the text as that went through along. It was encapsulating so much that actually is stuff we know that is great about, even Second Life, historical recreations, sort of workshops on nature and music, and of course looks very flashy indeed. And again, it's something. This audio network, basically Medium Board. It's an ad from them. Exactly. It doesn't say coming in January 2023 or anything. But whatever it is, it looks good. So I thought it's our space. What's here. Right. This is a very short thing from the Crypto Mile explained. But it's asking what is the potential of the metaverse, and again, this is just a 2 minute one. So
Welcome to the Crypto Mile, a square mile in the financial heart of the city. On this week's show, we will be exploring the topic of metaverses. However, rather than simply talking about these worlds, we will actually be taking you on a journey with us through different metaverses to meet some of the most influential individuals in this space. Welcome to the Crypto Mile. The metaverse is a term you likely hadn't heard of.
right, I'm sorry, I've that wasn't reading properly. This is actually 11 minutes long, and I have no intention of showing it all. But I think we may have seen that before, or at least a bit of it. Um, James mentioned something about that he'd seen, what was it, Metaverse, Venice Immersive earlier. Do you remember? I've got one here called The Shores of Loki, which apparently has been, I think it's more of a game than an art piece, but
Okay. It doesn't sound
we'll see.
familiar. The artist was Kevin Mack, is the one I was talking about.
That's right, isn't it? Okay, let's go with this. There's a hell of a lot at that festival, so. Okay, that's actually met some pretty good reviews. I mean, as a puzzle sort of game, I'm told it can literally go on forever. But people are remarking on the graphics and everything, everything else. So I guess that is the sort of thing that will be marketed as a sort of game. I'm not sure whether it's a Helmet Land project or a on-screen product or both. It certainly looks graphically like it could be. It could be in both. Um, so, did I have something else? Right. Okay, I think I've got two other clips here if I can get the reading on the time right. Oh, no. Then it must be this one.
Hi, everybody. I'm here with Lisa Watts from Magic Leap. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, how are you, Chris? Thanks for having me.
Thank you, and thank you for coming to Madeira Island. We're excited to have you there and speak. Also, you recently became our global board of advisors, so congratulations.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to working closely with the VRAR Association.
You've been in this industry, immersive industry, for quite some time, but tell us your current role.
So my current role is I'm a vice president at Magic Leap, and my focus is really on the ecosystem and developer programs side of the house. So how are we going to be engaging the developer community to build great AR applications, spatial applications for Magic Leap 2?
Great. And I got to experience the Magic Leap 2 in Miami when I saw you, and it's a huge improvement, looks amazing, and I see a glimpse of it behind you there.
Yes, I have a little box, the ship box we are shipping now to developers, so people can start to buy Magic Leap 2 and start building their enterprise applications and kick the tires and give us feedback.
So people are coming to Madeira Island for our summit, and there's many reasons why to be excited. It's a beautiful island. We'll be swimming with the dolphins. But what excites you the most about our summit in Madeira?
Well, I think at the time of post-COVID and being able to get back together and start to collaborate, I mean that collaboration with the broader community is, I think, really, really critical, especially right now in kind of the age of the metaverse and where we're having such a great acceptance in the broader community and in the world, really, about what AR, VR, XR, spatial computing, and metaverse technologies can bring to the table. And so, VRAR Association and the Immerse Summit, I think, is going to be bringing together some of the best minds in the industry around this topic. And so I think, obviously it's wonderful to be in a beautiful location, but I would come even if it wasn't in a beautiful location, just because of the people that the event is attracting.
So yes, this event will be quality speakers, quality time with the speakers. We'll have a lot of social events, networking events, dinners, in addition to the sessions and expo.
Right, I'm going to pause it there. There's another couple of minutes, so but time is time, and what have you. Yeah, they've been VR Association, basically. They've been advertising their global summit, the most global summit in Madeira, which I guess is Spain, isn't it? This month for some time. Not cheap. Either to get in or go to, for that matter, travelling there. It's they're very much an industry sort of level organisation, so I guess they're relying on people with corporate budgets to want to attend. A nice fancy place where they swim with dolphins, apparently. But Lisa Watts there from Magic Leap is kind of quite interesting, and I guess she's going to be one of their sort of keynotes at that conference. So yeah, on the off chance there might be a few of you who can afford to go there, which just leaves me with the one other clip. I trust me to have done these in the wrong order. Let me just check this one.
Well, I do want to say I will be in the metaverse.
Nope, it's not that one. It must be that. No. Okay, well, since I can't figure out which one I'm meant to be showing you, we'll probably call it, we'll call it quits. I think maybe I've shown you them all actually without realising it. Oh, there was one very long one that I cut off, so that probably explains it. Okay, so back finally to the web feeds. And we've done all the actual web links, but this link is to my Mastodon page, which you can find at Mastodon, mastodon.social, and then / the @ Metaworld. And basically, instead of posting direct to Twitter, I post any interesting long form videos that you may be interested in listening to. I put them here, and they also get reposted to Twitter, so you don't have to follow me at Mastodon if you don't want. It's just very convenient sort of video dump for me. And only a couple this week. We had this one particular interest. This is an interview with Jeremy Bailson about presence psychology and everything else, training. But this, believe it or not, this is actually a video interview with Tony Badillo, the scarred ghost. He's even got his own logo.
Hello everyone, from Tony the Scout Ghost. I'm here today with Jeremy Benson. Have two authorities for our field for psychology interactions and human interactions in VR. So I'm very happy to be with him today. Thanks, Jeremy, for accepting my invitation to be here today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Tony.
So, I'm super excited about this interview. I'm a bit a fan of yours since a few years. I mean, we am in this field since 8 years, and pretty soon I discovered the amazing work you...
Well, it is amazing, actually, but he just go on, Tony. But there's actually there's an hour-long interview, very interesting one too. Obviously, Jeremy gets the stuff in, but I don't know what it is about Tony's voice, Scott Ghost's voice. It's a bit... he does go around the world a bit in terms of introducing things, but not the only one. Okay, you can, from my Mastodon feed, you can click and play, or you can simply click and go straight through to YouTube. Our other regular one is here this week. I did catch it, you'll be pleased to know, James. Most of the other ones, regular ones, are actually missing this week, but Upload VR is here. So did you watch that?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Interesting?
Well, sure. It was, again, it was kind of the Apple Meta show.
Yeah.
A big story about Apple's trademarking the name Reality, and so speculation that their headset will be the Reality headset. That was a big discussion. And then talking about Quest avatars and Quest Pro coming in October. But then Ian did do a nice, just a little hint that he had interviewed that Kevin Mack. And so that's what took me into VR chat this week.
Okay.
Yeah, and I really liked the space that he built. That was really fun. It was subterranean areas to explore. I think you'd really like it.
I'll try. Yeah, and VR chat. So that's easy
VR
to
chat.
get.
Yep.
Yeah, I can get there on screen
Yep.
easily enough. Anyway, yeah.
And they were back in their studio. I should point that out. Facebook let them back into their studio, so that was good.
That was very good of Facebook.
Yep. I hope OpenSim doesn't take our studio away, though they've taken away my skin texture, but there's no they to speak of. Right?
I've got it. So I think that's just a slight delay in what they call the hypergrid inventory business. Basically.
No, I've been rebaking and refreshing
really?
to no avail. Yeah.
Right. Well, I've got it. So hopefully.
Yep.
Unless it's still cash from last week, but I don't. Well, yeah, no way of knowing. Right, what was I going to say? Oh yes, yeah, the Apple trademark thing. Yeah. I have mixed feelings about the Reality business. I mean, I picked up on the trademarks. And
well, you don't believe in the headset, first off, so what does it matter what the name is?
No, no, it's not that. They've also put some trademark illustrations in for methods of doing things with headsets and virtual reality. No, I just I can't. I may be wrong, but I can't see Apple actually branding and launching a product called Apple Reality or something, because it's more virtuality or augmented reality. I think they're going to use the reality in a context rather than what was being spoke about there, like the Apple Reality headset or something. I think they'll use, I don't know, it just seems that Apple being Apple, the actual devices will probably have a different name, but it's like reality will be a kind of ecosystem that goes with it. I don't know.
I didn't think you played in this speculation stuff.
Well, I don't. So
Okay.
actually, that's another reason that I didn't include a link to that myself. You can go to VR download and hear the mammoth
That's right.
discussion. Will they or won't they? Okay, 5 days ago. No, that was 6 days ago. That was last week's show. And there's the clip of the woman who's changing costumes 1,000 times a minute. No, so this is the only other one from this week actually in there 5 days ago. But quite an interesting one. It's a panel discussion called Building the Open NFT Metaverse. Now, if it didn't say NFT, I think it's a pretty good discussion anyway, building the open metaverse. Unfortunately, with a lot of people promoting the open metaverse, they're obsessed with their non-functional tokens, or trinkets, I should say, or whatever they are. And I don't like, you're asking people to jump in. If you're going for a mainstream audience, you're going to try to sell them on the metaverse. You're going to try to sell them, whatever that is, by the way, of course. You're going to try and sell them on non-functional tokens too. And you're probably going to be trying to sell them on virtual currency, half of which are collapsing nowadays anyway. That's a hard sell to the person in the street. Sell them a headset and promise them everything 3D, maybe, if it's cheap enough. Promote the idea of NFTs as a new way to sell and market your art. Maybe. People with money to throw around are actually buying NFTs. And the virtual currency as well. It's okay if you've got Linden dollars and things like that are totally tied to an actual world, but this idea of massive blockchain currencies and cryptocurrencies, I really don't know. But any talk about an open metaverse is a good idea. I just wish I don't think we've established any common consensus for a metaverse yet that would say NFTs and cryptocurrencies are a compulsory component of that. You know, they're too specific, whereas the phrase metaverse is very, very general, and that the underlying platform needs to exist before you start worrying about NFTs and things. Mind you, some people are making a lot of money out of nothing to do with the metaverse, actually, by literally selling NFTs. People do little cartoons, make them into an NFT, sell them for $1 million, and I don't know. I mean, the sucker that buys them, and it's a cartoon in NFT form. I don't know where they put it. On their virtual land on a closed grid somewhere, who knows? Anyway, but this was an interesting discussion, so yeah, check that out if you will. Right, that is it for this week. I better, before I jump down another rabbit hole, James is probably looking at the clock and thinking, what's he doing now? It must be nearly 2 hours. I think it may well be, although we didn't
let's peek. Oh, 1:45.
Yeah.
You've got 15 minutes yet.
I got 15 hours to find the rabbit hole to jump in. Okay. Yeah, I figured we didn't start on time, so yes, it's less than 2 hours. That's an achievement, but it's more than 90 minutes. But we're sort of, there was a bit on that list today, even though I didn't dwell on too much. Yeah, so that is it. That is it. The only thing I probably should put, I missed a meeting on Friday, but the OpenSim Community Convention, which is the sort of a convention of people working and doing things in OpenSim, but actually includes a lot more. It tends to be, it can hold about 400 people if it's packed out, as well as being broadcast on TV and everything else. So it's quite a big convention. I don't know whether James would know, but this is about the time now when I suspect that applications for participation will be launching.
Yeah, the meeting was talking about mostly the website. We were looking at the forms and submission forms, and I don't think this week. I think after the United States Labor Day holiday is Monday, and so I feel like probably late next week, the call for applications for presenters will go out.
Okay, that's wonderful. Well, I will no doubt be doing a couple of presentations myself. I also remembered that I promised Nora Malone that I would actually partake in her presentation too. So we formatted.
That's
well,
cool.
Basically, she wants it formatted like one of my shows. So basically, I go
Well,
do it.
how about that? That's exciting.
Yeah, technically, it's Nora's thing. And yeah, probably a couple of other panels too. It's still way in the future. It's not
way in the
until
future, right?
It's not mid-December, but you're amazed how time flies. At this
Mal,
time
give
of
us
year.
more time. We need more time.
Yeah, in fact, come to think of it, time flies at all times of the year these
It does,
days.
doesn't it?
There we go.
Yep.
Yeah, so there will be a call for entries, and it will be open to, but basically. OpenSim is like a distant cousin of Second Life. If you've ever been in Second Life, you sort of know the score. It's the same Firestorm viewer or whatever. Everything works very similar way. And you get up and present, show slides, whatever. And you can be doing something in OpenSim. It can be in the public hypergrid or behind closed doors. Or indeed, it can just be related to, interconnectivity even. I mean, when you think about it, Open Simulator, in my opinion, and many other people's opinion, is a kind of template for the metaverse anyway. It's not a walled garden, except that all the hundreds, maybe thousands of grids on it are connected by having the same background code running their platforms. That's how the hypergrid is able to operate. You can't hypergrid out to a world with a totally different underlying architecture. But within the facts of it being the same architecture, it is pretty open. And there are instances. I mentioned Nora Malone a minute ago, for example, who she is developing things outside OpenSim, but they're using things like Unity and whatever, but they are designed to be experienced from inside OpenSim. So it's a sort of it's not interop, but it's like cross-pollination of different things. You can look at the screen in OpenSim, like we have screens in the studio showing the videos from my desktop, and you can click on it, and that will launch a web-based virtual world. So you'll be entering one world via a screen in another world, if you see what I mean. So that's just an example of how things can get endlessly sewn together. Where some of the components are actually outside OpenSim. Somebody else may come up with a messaging system that operates independently of OpenSim but plugs into it, for example. That'd be like a Discord with a plug-in direct for OpenSim. Who knows? Who knows? So if you're interested or doing anything like that, do look out for the call for entries, because there are a lot of incidental things you may have to present that will be of interest to that OpenSim audience that are maybe a little bit beyond OpenSim itself. I think that's fair to say, isn't it, James?
Oh, sure. Yep.
I thought I was going to get silenced there. So what's he talking about?
No. I have to mute because I had loud cars driving by. But
oh right, yeah, I had some of them earlier, but they stopped. Thank goodness. Right, okay. Well, I think we're at the end of the show anyway, so we can we can head out. What have I got here? What's that doing there? Oh, there's a little party picture to go out with. I don't know what it is. Maybe Sansar, actually. Sansor's one of these places that always looks very good indeed. Right. Okay. So that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it all. Got some interesting news out of it that you're keen on, and I see that actually James just stood up, and I realised he's still got white trousers, even though his top's like, oh.
Yep. Now, my eyes are white. So. Woohoo.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking. I was looking at you. You've gone. Look, you've been looking normal to me all through the show, and now you've stood up and you've gone haywire.
Yep, it's gone
Never
haywire.
mind. Never mind. That's the other beauty of Open Simulator here. It's full of surprises. Cough, cough. Right. So I hope we brought the news to you. You found it interesting. We'll be back same time, same place, almost certainly, but you never know, next week. And until then, we would wish you stay safe. And if you need to lock yourself down or anything like that, remember that you can still go out anywhere you want, anywhere in the world. It's called the Metaverse, and it's at your fingertips on the screen, or even in one of those strange helmet things that seem to be floating around these days. Whatever your choice, you can do it. So it's goodbye from me and goodbye from
me.
Him. We two are one, or is it ARVR, blah, 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 we are. We're not going to go through all that. Basically, let's just say it's a wrap. We'll see you soon.
Okay, outro's playing and we're muted. Yeah, well, it's a ways to go yet. Animation's playing on YouTube now. Okay. Oh, yeah.